All right. Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of the Tim and Tim Show every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And we got a fun topic for you this week. And I'm really genuinely interested to hear your comments, your feedback, your opinions. And it's on value add real estate. I mean, that's such a buzzword in the commercial real estate world. I myself am a value add real estate investor. I know that my buy box is not class A brand new product that I'm just going to own it for the next 10 or 20 years. I'm looking to buy something. I want to add value. I want to refinance it or exit it and move on. I'm in the equity generation mode. I'm trying to grow the equitable balances, trying to grow the capital that I have to use to invest with, and value add helps me achieve that. However, a lot of people are saying value add's dead now or it doesn't pencil. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Tim, what do you think about value add is dead? DED dead.
DED.
Yeah. What's that from?
Dead.
What movie is that from? That's a quote from a movie.
You got me. On that
somebody
one.
in the comments, please. I got so many quotes up here. I can't remember the name of the title right now, but it is from a movie of DED dead. Is it Monty Python? No.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, no.
That's what Google says. Come on.
Guardians of the Galaxy seems a bit of a stretch for me, but anyways.
Come on, and I would have some partners that say Google and ChatGPT is never wrong.
Sidebar. I got my wife hooked on the ChatGPT stuff now. She's like, this is better than Google. And I was like, I know. You could have a conversation with it to really kind of isolate what you're trying to get. And she's like, every time I go to Google, I feel like I spend 20 minutes there or half an hour and I get nowhere. And she was like, at least with this, I can continue to ask it questions. I'm like, isn't it great?
You're like, shit, I'm never going to win a debate now.
Yeah. All I need her to do is start plugging in use never split the difference tactics against my husband.
Yeah. You're like, wait a minute.
Wait a second. Oh, this is not going in my favor.
So what do I think? I always find the phrase it doesn't pencil funny, quite frankly. Because quite frankly, I mean,
what's so funny? Tell me a joke, huh? What's so funny?
Yeah, because quite frankly, dude, that's all I freaking heard. That's all I freaking heard in 22 and 23 when the market was so hot. It's like I can't find anything that pencils.
Nothing ever pencils.
It's like so at that point, I'm like, well, value add was, I guess, dead in 22 and 23 if it doesn't pencil, and now it's dead because of interest rates because it doesn't pencil. I mean, doesn't it really just come down to like what you pay for it on the front end? I mean,
you're stealing my thunder over here because that's where I was going to go with this whole conversation.
I know. You threw me a softball, man.
I know. I didn't intentionally do that. Yeah.
Because here's the thing, like. Rates suck, right? Well, I mean, so here's a thought. This just, guys, I'm literally like shit's just coming to my head at the moment. Like, did it really pencil in 22 and 23 because your 3.5% interest rate you assumed you'd have forever? Did it really pencil? Food for thought.
Yeah.
Discuss amongst yourselves.
Look at Brian Kowalski saying, I 99 saw Tim Vest at a Toad the Wet Sprocket concert. I didn't realize it until I walked away.
Hey, Brian, was it? I may have seen you. I noticed somebody like gave me a look and they were like, I thought they were going to say something to me, but then they didn't and they kept walking. Was that you? Because I was like, who's that?
Never mind. You're a lot taller in real life than I imagined, Tim.
Yeah.
Funny. All right. So value add, right? People saying it doesn't pencil. Let's talk about some of the reasons why a lot of people are struggling to find value add deals that work. Surprise, surprise. It's nothing that we have not talked about. Tim, do you want to go first?
Seller expectations.
Oh, yes. That's a big one. And I want to get there. That's kind of like the end result. Right?
Okay, fine. Do it your way.
What are some of the reasons why it doesn't work for buyers?
Is
Okay.
that a question?
Yes, it was.
uh, why doesn't it work for buyers? Because people want too much for their property. Why doesn't it work for buyers? Because interest rates are too high. I mean, what are we looking for here?
Yeah,
Uh,
well, I mean, yes, all of those things, right? Sellers want too much money for their properties, and I think it's because they're still attached to what properties were selling at in 2021. What's not being
yes.
taken into consideration is that in 2021, it was the peak of the market. Cap rates were the most compressed they've ever been. Interest rate was as low as it's ever been, historically low interest rates, and it was really pre-inflation before we really kind of felt the shock of inflation. So over those couple of years after 2020, we started to feel the increases in utility usage rates went up a lot. I mean, there were some properties that went up like 40%. The amount of water used did not change, but the rate that you paid did change a lot.
Yeah.
So that increased your expenses, reducing your NOI. Insurance costs, no secret there. Some properties that we owned doubled, some tripled on insurance costs, wiping out a lot of the forced depreciation that was created through the value add process. With the increase in interest rates and the reduction of buyer interest, there's been a more cap rate decompression, meaning that the properties are worth less. So not only did you have the NOI drop, right, because of your rents being flat or going down, your expenses going up, your NOI going down, but then the extra piece on the side of that was the cap rates decompressed, right? So you're decompressing a cap rate on an already compressed NOI number, which further compounds the reduction in values, right? We're feeling that right now. I mean, we're working on a refinance, and we were not capped out on debt coverage ratio. We were capped out
Not even
on
close.
value,
Yeah.
right? Because cap
Yeah.
rate decompression happened. So the market has definitely gone into a downwards. I don't want to say it's downward spiral, but property values are down 20, 30%, something like that, maybe 40% in some markets, depending on where you bought and what you paid for it. Surprise, surprise, your going in price still makes your cost base. There's no replacement for cost basis, right? At the end of the day, all of those things have impacted value add deals, and
Right.
your value add deal that you could have sold. Like, let's use a hypothetical, right? So we could talk about Charlotte pretty substantially. One, because we're very close to the Charlotte market and we own property in the Charlotte market. In the Charlotte market, things were going for over $200,000 a door
Oh yeah.
in 21, 22. 190 to 210 a door was not unheard of for a Class C product, which is outrageous, right? And now those same properties are trading for 140 to 150 a door, right? The problem is people that bought it for 180, 190 a door, they want to get out of it for what they paid for it, but the property value is only worth, significantly less. And what the
Yeah.
contributing factors are is the decompression. The banks aren't going to lend on it. Your expenses have gone up. Your debt service has gone up, so your cash flow is even more limited. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to be able to buy. So, if you were buying a value add property for 150, putting 25 a door into it so that you could sell it for 200, you'd make money because there's a spread. But now you can't pay 150 for that same value add property and put 25 a door into it, because now you'll be upside down, right?
Yeah.
And the seller expectations, kind of what you were talking about before, those really haven't come back into line where, okay, your C-class 1970s property ain't worth 150 a door. It's really worth 90 to 100 a door on its in-place financials. I got to put $20 to $30,000 a door into it, including interior renovations, roofing, HVAC, parking lot repairs, anything that comes up, right? So I got to be all in for 125 to 130 a door to be able to either sell it or refinance at 150 a door to create any kind of money or value or spread. There has to be yield. But getting somebody to accept that their once $6 million property 3 years ago is now only worth $4 million, right? Thinking about an example of a 40-unit property we were looking at. They were asking $6 million. I think we ended up offering $4 million, and it was maybe it's viewed as a slap in the face because it's $2 million less than what they were asking for. But in reality, there's no spread. There's no yield. How do I make money on this deal if I pay you 150 and I put money into it and now I'm upside down on it? Right. So that,
but Tim, in 5 years, it's worth 200.
Maybe. Maybe. And sorry, I'm just not willing to take that risk.
Right. And guys, and I think that's part of what we're talking about, right? Like when people say value add deals are dead, I completely disagree with them. It's when you say it doesn't fit, it's not dead, right? It just comes down to what you pay going in. They're only dead if like in Tim's scenario, they're only dead if that person continues to insist on $6 million for that 40 unit property.
There's just not sellers then.
Right. Because at the end of the day, Vitaly's right. Like, I'm not at this point in time. And if we haven't all learned this lesson, then shame on us all. I refuse to pay you what you think it's worth today because of what you think it's going to be worth 5 years from now. Right.
Right.
And if I have to increase my spread, if I have to make my spread based off some assumption of some crazy number 5 years from now, then I'm just not doing that deal. So in that case, yeah, any of you guys are saying like value add deals are dead. Yeah, they're dead, but they're not dead. If you're able to get the seller to realize, hey, listen, like I'll pay you what's reasonable today. This idea of paying you, based on basis alone, what you think is a good deal today because of something that sold 18 months ago, that's not a discussion we can have, right? Like, the discussion needs to be, what's it worth right now, right? What do I got to put into it, the value add? And then what do we reasonably believe it's going to be worth 5 years from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, right? And then the other thing I would also say to that too is, a lot of the guys I see talking about value add deals are dead are the guys who want to buy today and flip it in 2 years.
Absolutely. Right? Sign me up. Yeah, I want to be that guy.
Yeah, me too.
No, like literally I want to buy it like right now and then sell it in 2 years when the market starts to turn around.
Yeah. So
not just in theory, in actual principle. I want to be the guy that's buying right now because the market's down.
But guys, like, you have to adjust for your time horizon, right? Yeah. Like right now, like we'll use, Tim's talking about like something that we're refinancing now, and decompression and all this other stuff has impacted it. Like, so it's impacted our value add, right? It's impacted the value we've built into the property over the last 2 to 3 years of ownership, right? Well, guess what? I got to do? I need to kick the can down the road a little bit, because if I sell today, I'm going to realize no value, none, right? But I do know, right? What's the old, in real estate, time heals a lot of things. Time heals a lot of wounds, right? So let me buy myself 5 years, and we'll see what it looks like over the next 5 years. Because that's just kind of how it goes. And at the end of the day, like, I always find it interesting because, the whole pencils comment, I'm like, but pencils based on what? Like, your buying price, like what your time horizon looks like what your assumptions are. I mean,
yeah, I'd like to say to a lot of, I know Joe Bisbing's listening, and something that I say all the time in our coaching group is there's a lot of property for sale, but that doesn't mean every single one of them is going to meet your buy box, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't meet somebody else's buy box. You don't know what somebody else is willing to sell for. You don't know what somebody else is willing to buy for. You don't know their time horizon. You don't know if there's an emotional attachment to a property that they just want to own because they want to own it. You don't know if they're just okay with 5% per year because they just want the depreciation and nothing else. There's so many factors that go into underwriting and analyzing deals. And I have to admit, being a value add guy is difficult because I would say it's one of the more popular business strategies.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a popular business strategy, but I think it's more difficult to find deals like that. You have to be way more selective, right? And there's so many different things that go into underwriting a deal and understanding what your buy box, understanding what your investors are looking for, understand what your team, Tim and I, we self-manage our assets, understanding what the capacity of our team is. Can they bring that property on and operate it well? Do they have the capacity within the other portfolio to say, let's bring on another value add property, or do we need to just look at a stabilized one because we just need to, just own something that's already renovated? We just got to do
Right.
lease turns essentially.
Right. And being more critical, right, about the debt you take going in. Right. Because I mean, and Tim and I have this conversation a lot. I mean, Tim and I are trending more towards, like for a few years there, our first underwriting model was like, okay, let's go get short-term bridge debt on this thing. And then so that we can refi it in 2 years.
Well, a lot of
Now
it
we're
was because
starting,
the market was going up so much, right?
oh yeah. And then, but now we're starting to be like a little bit more of, hey, do I just raise that CapEx money and let me go ahead and put it on a 5-year term, right? So that I'm not forced to
Hmm.
refi it in 2 years. Because honestly, guys, that's where some of the people are coming from is they did these value add deals. They're forced into a refi in 2 years. That's hitting right now. And like we talked about the last few weeks, maybe they got a zombie deal where they can't sell it, they can't refi it. They're in this horrible position of, I don't know what to do with this
Hmm.
because I thought I was going to get 4.5% on my refi and I was going to get 80% LTV, right?
Hmm.
Um, so guys, like if when you're doing deals right now, like maybe your value add doesn't look like a 2-year refi, 5-year sell. Maybe your deal looks like, hey, I'm going to put this on stabilized debt. I'm going to raise the capital for the capex, and then I'm going to sit on it for 5 years, right?
Yeah. One of my favorite deals that we own right now, we did exactly that. And let me tell
Yeah,
you, it is low stress in
low
comparison.
stress.
Holy
Yeah.
moly. So now it's kind of we've seen how that impacts our operations and our mindset and our capacity. And now it's probably going to be a little bit of retraining investor expectations to be more in line with that type of underwriting because
Yeah.
it's more sustainable at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying there isn't a time and place and a use for bridge loans and short-term debt, but I don't think we will do it at the scale that we have in the past. That's for
No,
sure. Because
no.
we
It's a
bought a lot of stuff 2 years ago, and right now we're dealing with all of those refinances all at the same time. And let me tell you, 5 years from now, when those when five, I had this thought. This is a shower thought. I was like, man, it's really stressful going through all these refinances right now. I said, we're gonna have this exact same problem 5 years from now. All of these
hey,
properties are gonna be due, and you got to refinance them or sell them.
but hey, here's a nice thing. Like, I'm really thinking 5 years from now we're going to be in a much different space than we have been in the past.
Praying.
Like, fingers crossed. Yeah, but here's guys, one thing we haven't talked about, but I think Vitaly, I think you mentioned it a few minutes ago, was at the end of the day, knowing your market. This is where knowing your market's really, 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 really key. And I'll use the Charlotte market because I think you opened that door. One of the things I've seen out there, I actually saw, I think it was the Wall Street Journal last night. I was reading something where they were talking about, oh, we're going to have an oversupply of housing, right? And I'm like,
Depends
man,
on where.
yeah, for 7 years, we've been hearing about undersupply. There's like a 5-year, 10-year, whatever undersupply. And now they're talking about we got oversupply. But what the article did when you read it, it started talking about, hey, on a national average, when you factor in all markets, we have an undersupply and we will continue to have an undersupply. Their point was that we're talking when the national average factors in markets like San Francisco, San Diego, LA, New York, Chicago, right? Where there's always going to be an undersupply, right? I mean, at least for the foreseeable future. And then that makes it seem like Kansas City, Missouri is going to have an undersupply as well because the national average, right? Well, and guys, I don't know Kansas City. That just came off the top of my head. But like here in Charlotte, are we undersupplied like New York City? No. Are we undersupplied over the next 5 years? Yeah, absolutely. You can look at housing starts, you can look at permits that have been submitted for, and you can look at deliveries. And in the Charlotte market, deliveries are basically slated to stop in the next 12 months. And there's no real housing permits that are in place today that are going to create a mass gut of deliveries over the next 3 years after 2026, right? So yeah, there's going to be this short-term hurt, right? Because of all these things coming on the market right now. But in the 5-year horizon, Charlotte's in an undersupply mode. So, that's one of the reasons why it's like, hey, know your market really well, because you may be in a market where it's like, no, all these deliveries, it's going to take 5-6 years for them to be absorbed, right? Um, Charlotte's not one of those markets. It's going to take 12 months for them to be absorbed.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't happen overnight, and but the way the news articles come out, it sure does make you feel like it does happen overnight, but
Yeah,
it's a long road. It's a long transition time, right? And you got to have that forward looking, outlook in order to make I don't want to say the best decision, because there are no best decisions. It's the right decision at the moment with the information available, right?
right.
But when it comes to value add deals, though, it's like at the end of the day, one of the things that you'll first learn about, if you're new in the real estate investing world, one of the first things that you'll hear about is single family fix and flips, right? And the number one thing that you need to do is find motivated sellers.
Yeah.
Now is a great time to find motivated sellers because of the change in the market. And if you have somebody that's wanting to sell for 6 million and you offer them 4, they want to see what they can get. Doesn't sound like they're that motivated, but you actually don't know, you have no idea what their motivation is until you actually make the offer and see what they come back with. But I can't say, like, now more than ever, you have to find a motivated seller. And deals aren't going to pencil in up markets. Deals aren't going to pencil in down markets. It just depends on how motivated the seller you are working with directly needs. Some of the things that we have found that help us bridge the gap between a deal that the seller's not that interested in selling, but we are very interested in buying. How do we tickle that in order to make it work?
Yeah.
Seller financing. There's got to be some level or component of seller financing that that helps bridge the gap on leverage and rate and cash flow and all those different types of things, right? There's so many things. There's so many levers that seller financing can pull where, there's a deal that we're looking at right now in a small market, and we basically offered them asking price because that's what they wanted. But the rate that we offered them asking price at was like 2% and 10% down or 5% down. We're like, we can get there, but this is where it's got to be. And they're open to it. Right. And so it's not to say the deals aren't being done and that you can't get them to the pencil. It's just which levers do you need to pull, and how are you changing that narrative in order to make a deal work when otherwise other people are just passing over it.
Right. Yeah. Hey, Dennis. Dennis asked a question, guys. How do you think the new Section 8 laws will affect your business plan going forward? So I'll take a quick stab at this. One, Dennis, just full disclosure, I haven't seen any updates to the Section 8 laws in the last 2 weeks. So if something has come out in the last 2 weeks, I haven't seen it. I've missed it. So if I'm saying something incorrect here, feel free to chime in and call me out. But I haven't seen anything of the stuff I have seen that directly impacts the markets where I operate. Because the Section 8 laws don't seem to be holistically, blanketing across the nation the same for every area. It seems to be like they're going after specific types of tenants here. And then the second piece I would say is over the last, Tim, 12 to 18 months, Tim and I have made an adjustment to the way we underwrite, right? We used to see Section 8 as a way to kind of boost income. And the way we're underwriting now is I know what I can get without Section 8. So I'm going to underwrite to that. And if the deal works at that, that's what I'm going with. And then if I can get some Section 8 that exceeds my underwriting in terms of what we call market rent, then great.
That's gravy.
That's just gravy, right? So to answer your question, I'm not counting on Section 8 moving forward. It's gravy. It would boost my returns 100%. And legacy tenants. Yeah, I think we're talking about the same thing, where it sounds like maybe federal's talking about putting a timeline or a limit on how long someone can be on Section 8. I got to be honest with you, man. I'm not seeing that as a huge concern myself, quite frankly. And because it does seem like also that those laws seem to be market by market, they seem to be a little specific to certain areas.
Mhm.
And I haven't seen a ton of impacts to kind of where we operate for the most part.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not the most up to date on that. So full disclosure there.
Yeah, you have about the same level of understanding as I do at this point. And one thing I do want to make clear is that when we're talking about our involvement with Section 8, we do affordable housing, primarily LIHTC. And LIHTC is not Section 8, right? LIHTC is a rent restricted government program that limits the amount of rent that we can charge our residents. There's no government subsidy that backs up LIHTC properties. Government subsidy is Section 8, and we can put Section 8 residents at our properties to help them pay their rent and sometimes pay higher than what the net max rent is of the LIHTC property. But for our business specifically, if we're renting to a LIHTC tenant, they have to qualify to live in the LIHTC unit. Doesn't matter if they have a Section 8 voucher or not, helping them with their subsidy payment. It's how
Yeah.
much do they actually make on their income and their assets. So hypothetically, if Section 8 goes away for us, our residents still have qualified on their underlying assets and income to pay their monthly rent in line with the net max dictated to us by the housing authorities. Okay.
Yeah.
I think where some people could come into hot water with Section 8 is a market rate property that they put a Section 8 voucher tenant in
Yeah.
at, and they don't qualify to pay $2,000 a month for rent without the subsidy payment. If that subsidy payment goes away, you're going to have a problem. But if you're like us and you have the LIHTC, underlying LIHTC, and you're going through the compliance process to ensure that they meet those standards, you should hypothetically be okay. Will it be painful? Yes, of course it's going to be painful. And I'm not saying it's foolproof, but I do want to clarify that the difference
Yeah.
between LIHTC and just a conventional property with Section 8 residents there could differ drastically.
Yeah, because if you're buying, to Tim's point, if you're buying a market rate or conventional property in an area, that does not get a lot of like conventional or market rate tenant demand, then you really should. I mean, Dennis, to your point, you really should like take a second look at that, because those laws really could impact you. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you won't be able to get Section 8. Me personally, I'm kind of like in a city like Charlotte, the Section 8 housing demand is huge. There's no shortage of them. There's a waiting list for Section 8. So I would look at that and say, people get a 24-month window that they can have a Section 8 voucher. But then there's probably somebody standing behind them waiting for that voucher when their 24 months is up. So what I would probably do in that scenario is I would say, hey, I'm probably going to continue to get vouchers, but I'm going to have more turnover.
That's also, your expenses are going to go up. Your vacancy is going to go up. I mean, your overall, your NOI is going to drop with the added turnover.
Yeah. And your expenses are going to, your repairs and maintenance and your expenses are going to increase significantly because, guys, if you don't have Section 8, Section 8's a good thing, but it comes with certain stuff. And one of the things it comes with is the level of inspection that happens before they move in a Section 8 tenant is much more critical than a lot of other programs. So you're probably going to be on the hook for some repairs and maintenance that you wouldn't typically do, quite frankly, on some market rate properties.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I mean, they will call out chipping paint, on a handrail that's around the corner that you can't even see.
Missing screens on the windows, right? Like,
right.
And that's not to say it's not things that you wouldn't do, right? It's to say that those are things you have to do before the tenant moves in. Like, so where you might move a tenant in on a conventional property and be like, oh yeah, here's the things, we'll get maintenance on this, but go ahead and move it, right? Like, no, Section 8 will say, I'm not moving them in until you do this, right?
Yep.
So.
Yeah, that's fair. So, yeah, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, the moral of the story is I don't think value add real estate is dead. I just think that you have to be more selective and finding motivated sellers. A motivated seller has to have some type of pressure to get out of the deal. If it's just a looky-loo who just wants to post it online and see what he can get, you're probably spinning your wheels and wasting your time. But if you find somebody that has like a pressing deadline or coming up, I mean, there's some external pressure, right, that's coming towards them that they have to sell, you can generally find a good deal or structure something that would make it a good deal for you and maybe a decent deal for them on the exit
Yeah.
side of things. But there has been quite a massive price change, right? A
Yeah.
structural price change in the way multifamily deals trade right now in our target markets in the Carolinas. We've adapted and we've changed our underwriting process. We changed our offer process and narrative, and things look different right now, and that's okay. It's all part of
Yeah.
the real estate market cycle. And at the end of the day, you have to just keep adapting and making decisions and changing the way that you're looking at things as those opportunities and problems present themselves.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, guys, it just comes down to patience, right? I mean, so you got to have patience and keep looking for that person that's motivated, right? You got to look for the right seller that kind of aligns their sell criteria aligns with your buying criteria. Um,
Yep, agreed.
uh,
So
John, basically patience. I would just say patience. Like everything you've been doing before, reach out, connect, make calls, underwrite deals, look at deals. And as far as finding a good seller goes, keep doing those things, but just be patient and willing to discuss with them about, what you're looking for. Right. That's my 2 cents at least.
yep, agreed. So
All right, guys.
all right, guys. Well, thanks again. Appreciate it. I don't know if I'll be here next week. It's a definite maybe. But if not, see you next week. Peace.
See you guys. Bye.